يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده ولا مولود هو جاز عن ولده شيئا إن وعد الله حق إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور.
الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله لا إله إلا الله لا.
The dua that Brother Sajjad mentioned last night, it is mustahab therefore to help the dying person recite the following supplications. When I say for the dying person may not be able to recite, but once this is what we call it talqeen. Once you say it loud around them, somehow they will hear it and they will acknowledge it. It will be accepted on them. There are so many, I checked the books of ahadith, there are so many different supplications. A few of them that are mentioned in the Risala, I will mention it. Allahumma aghfir li al-kathira min ma'asik. Oh Allah, forgive much of the sins that I have done, and a little bit of good that of worshipping that I have done on the one hand. Ya man yaqbalul yasir wa ya'fu anil kathir. Oh, you the one who accepts this dua. I remember rahmatullah alayhi, my father when he was dying, the second one I used to repeat it around him. That's why I have a memory about this. Ya man yaqbalul yasir. Oh, you who the one who accepts the little and forgives much. Iqbal minna al yasir wa'fu anil kathir. Accept the little bit that I inshallah have done in my life and forgive much of the sins. Innaka antal afu wal ghafur. And the last one is a dua that Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salam says that this is the dua that we Ahlul Bayt always say it. Even in our qunut, you know, this is one of the mustahab du'as of the qunut. So especially the last one, as quoting Imam Reza alayhi salam, would be very nice if you remember, if you're around a dying person, to mention that to them. I think the rest of it here, we had discussed it, no need to mention. Maybe share with you this hadith here since I'm reviewing it. Look at number 12. They inform the community. I came across a hadith last night. I thought it's good to share it with you. إِذَا دُعِيتُمْ إِلَى الْعُرُسَاتِ فَأَبْتَوْا فَإِنَّهَا تُذَكِّرُ الْآخِرَةِ. Sisters, ladies, with all respect, youngsters especially, when you hear there is a wedding, there is a birthday party, don't rush to it, because that's all about dunya, remind you of the dunya and fashion parade and all the rest of it. But وَإِذَا دُعِيتُمْ إِلَى الْجَنَائِزِ, when you hear that there is a funeral, فَأَسْرِعُوا, hasten, go for attending a funeral. Why? فَإِنَّهَا تُذَكِّرُ الْآخِرَةِ, it reminds the hereafter. And truly, those of you that their children are not perhaps doing so well, encourage them somehow, take them to the ghusl khane to attend one funeral, girls for the ladies, boys for the gents. Believe me, it's a catalyst of change for them. It's so useful for them to attend one funeral, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As for ghusl mayyit tonight, to share with the community and those who, inshallah, to entice you about the reward of performing ghusl mayyit, there are numbers of ahadith. I mentioned to you in this limited time one. Inshallah, in the future, if there was interest, I will prepare more and share the text with the rest of the community as well. But for now, look at this hadith that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, "Kana fi ma naja bihi Musa rabbah, qala ya rabbil mal man ghassala al mauta, faqala aghsiluhu min dhunubih ka yawmin waladathu ummuh." Do you want me to translate it, or it's okay like this? Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, Imam al-Baqir says, Moses in one of his supplications to his Lord said, "O Lord, what is the reward of the one who bathes the deceased?" The Almighty Allah says, "I will wash him from his sins like the day his mother gave birth to him." Allahu Akbar. Who doesn't want to have this opportunity? Yani, really the duty of ghusl mayyit, for those who are taking this duty upon themselves, and some of the cases, I really don't want to take your time, and we have limited time, but this part is so important to bring to the conscious of the community. Sometimes close relatives, the dear children of a dear mother, they don't feel comfortable to get close to her. Not just because she's passed away. There are cases like during this COVID, you know, that people were running away from each other. Mother, her daughter had COVID and she wouldn't get close to her. And now somebody has to do the bathing and the ghusl of this mayyit. It's not an easy job. I have seen cases in Australia, and I'm sure here those who are doing the ghusl must have experienced it. Someone's body was found in a bush, and after 6 months they brought the body almost decayed and dismantled. Believe me, from meters you could not get close to that person. Ghusl was impossible because the body would dismantle, was falling apart. It has to be done tayammum. How to do the tayammum? The poor brother, Jazahullah Khaira, that who was in charge, main person in charge of this ghusl, he was covering himself with all the things so that the odor of the mayyit doesn't really make him faint, to go quickly do the tayammum on this mayyit and run out of the ghusl khane. And you have to do the kafan, and it's not an easy job. And on the top of that, the responsibility of doing it correctly. Imagine after all of this, if there is a mistake and the person is buried, you will see what the Marajir say about this. It's a very delicate job, a big obligation, big responsibility, and may the Almighty God, from the bottom of my heart, what I have seen that these people are doing, believe me, money is not enough. Yani, you give them gold, is not enough. And that's why this job we learned tonight, this job cannot be paid because there is no pay for it. Really, there is no pay for it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, we go through the rules, inshallah, and until when we do the practice. Ghusl mayyit is wajib kifai. Wajib kifai is an expression in our fiqh. I could translate it to collective obligation. Wajib kifai, it means that equally it is an obligation upon all members of the community. All adult sane members of the community have an obligation. Not today we have someone pass away, rahmatullah alayh. It is not just the duty of those in charge of the funeral affairs. It is the duty of every single brother, because he's a male. Every single adult male in the community has this obligation, including myself, because I'm also here at the moment. However, wajib kifai, it means that when a group of brothers, 4 or 5 as required to do the ghusl mayyit, take the responsibility upon themselves, the responsibility is taken off from the shoulder of others. So we will be in debt to them once they take this responsibility. So that's why I said learning about the funeral services is a duty upon all members of the community. Not only the funeral committee. Everyone really should attend this course and such courses. Second, people who perform Ghusl Mayyit must be Shia 12. As I will explain, funeral services consist of two parts. Let me get there, I will explain it to you. But for now, Ghusl Mayyit, the person, the deceased, if he is a Shia Ithna Ashari, only a Shia Ithna Ashari can do the ghusl. No one else is allowed to do, also because they don't know. The performers of Ghusl Mayyit must be of the same sex as the deceased, male, male, female, female. In the absence of the same sex, the Mayyit can be washed by their mahram. Let's say a lady passes away and there is no female available, or ladies, they don't know how to do the ghusl, and her husband even is not around. As I will mention, husband and wife are exempt, different. Can the brothers of that lady take care of the washing of the ghusl, or the father or the uncle, mahram, those who are mahram? Yes, they can, but what they need to do, preferably from under the cloth, like we put a soft cloth on the mayyit, without looking, we just pour the water, so that with the cloth, the body is kind of covered, that I don't look at, even though she is my sister, but still, she's of the opposite sex. So out of respect, your sister, when she was alive, you would not give her a bath, likewise now. But somebody has to do that, and there's no female around. So a cloth will be held on the sides, and someone like the brother is pouring the water and doing the ghusl as possible. There is exception always. Exceptions from the above rule are husband and wife and children under the age of 3, whether boys or girls. A 2-year-old girl dies, brothers can wash her. A 2-year-old boy dies, or 3 years old girls, ladies, they can do the ghusl. Of course, even in that situation, if there is a male available, that is the first option. We are talking about if there is no of the same sex available. And husband and wife, no issue. You know the reference for that, for our fuqaha, is, subhanallah, when Bibi Fatima salamullah alayha, she was martyred, Amirul Mu'minin was the main person who was attending and doing the funeral procedure of Fatima to Zahra. Ghusl Mayyit is a worshipping act and requires the intention of qurbatan ilallah, for the sake of Allah. So before we start the action, similar to before we start the wudu, before we start the salat, we have to make the intention of qurbatan ilallah. For Ghusl Mayyit, intention, who needs to make the intention? There's a team working here. The main person who is pouring the water on the body, he is the one or she is the one who has to make the intention. However, is it okay if everybody makes the intention? By all means, of course. And in fact, it's safer to do it like this, because you are helping, you are assisting, tossing and turning the mayyit. You are part of the ghusl team as well. Therefore, everybody, the one who is like the controller of the team, says that sisters, brothers, we are all making intention of qurbatan ilallah. Be mindful of that. When I say, and when our fuqaha, they say intention of qurbatan ilallah, they don't mean that aghsilu hada al-mayyit qurbatan ilallah. And did I say aghsilu correctly? How should I pronounce it? Intention is all inside. It's just in the matter of your mind. Exactly like when I'm standing to say that I want to pray, for example, Salat al-Fajr, I don't need to say Usalli Salat al-Fajr Faradan Qurbatan ilallah. I don't need to verbalize it. I just need to cross it in my mind, that I'm mindful of what I'm doing. In my mind, I make this intention, like what I told you, I cross it in my mind, and then I say Allahu Akbar. This is intention. So please don't be fussy that, sister, you have to pronounce it properly. Brother, how did you pronounce it? Let me know. There is no pronunciation involved in intention. Now look at the chart. All the funeral services consist of two types of funeral proceedings. One does not require intention of nearness to Allah. The second, underneath of it, requires intention of qurbatan ilallah. Then, example of the one that does not require, such as applying hanut. Inshallah, we'll talk about it, 7 parts of the body. Putting on the kafan. Kafan and coffin are close to each other. Kafan is an Arabic term, coffin is English. By kafan, I mean the shroud. Putting the shroud, covering, closing the mayyit. Burial. These parts, there's no need for intention of qurbatan ilallah. Of course, it's always best, but if the person didn't make an intention of qurbatan ilallah, it still is fine. I will tell you why I have this distinction and this division. The second part that requires intention, mainly ghusl and Salatul Mayyit. So Ghusl Mayyit, as we said, has to be with the intention of Qurbatan Ilallah. Salatul Mayyit naturally has to be with the intention of Qurbatan Ilallah. The difference shows here, the rules is this. As for the parts that they don't require Qurbatan Ilallah, consent of wali is not required. I will talk about the consent of wali soon. The wali of this mayyit did not consent for us to bury him. Do we have to wait? No, this mayyit has to be buried, my friend. Don't wait for the consent. What else? Can be performed by Muslim or non-Muslim alike. In some countries, the burial services is in the hand of like those in charge of the whole cemetery. A section of it is a Muslim cemetery. They come with the truck and all the equipment that they have and put the coffin inside and arrange it. Is there any problem with that? No problem with that. As long as a Muslim is supervising to make sure the body is laid facing the Qibla, it's not that it has to be buried by a Muslim. A non-Muslim can even do it. Why? Because there is no requirement of Qurbatan Ilallah. So you see why this division. The part that is Ghusl and Salatul Mayyit, consent of wali is required and should be performed only by adult 12-year Shia, as we explained it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. It's sugar free, please, another salawat. Artificial sugar, of course. Alhamdulillah. Charging for Ghusl Mayyit is not permissible. As I said, this task is so holy that certain tasks in Islam, we are not allowed to charge for them. One of them is especially tasks that are obligation. When something is an obligation on me, I'm meeting my obligation. Because already we said this is collectively obligation on members of the community. So anyone kindly comes forward to take this task upon themselves has taken an obligation upon themselves. So there is no requirement, he is not allowed to say that unless you pay me that much, otherwise I am not going to do this. However, it is permissible to charge for the materials, transport, the fabrics that they use, materials of hanout and all the rest of it. There is a hearse charges for it, funeral, burial charges and all the rest of it. What happens in Iran, and suppose maybe in here also as well, especially if the number of the dying people are quite many, that, and you know that people who have taken this task upon themselves, they need to be available 24/7. Any time of the day and the night, and nobody knows when. They need to be available on the call and come and do this service. Imagine that you are employed and you are at work and then they call you. Once, twice, three times you taken off, fourth time you're going to lose your job. So these people are like firefighters, if you like to call it. Firefighters are sitting in their base and reading, chatting and everything until when the call comes. But they are always available. When they are on duty, this is their shift, they are available. Whether there is any call for fire or not, he is on duty. He needs to be paid already for that hours. Don't say that you haven't gone today for any job. Alhamdulillah, I didn't go, but I was available. So people for the funeral services, they need to be always available, and somebody has to pay for them. One of the scholars, he said, I went to Ayatollah Khamenei and I said that, we want to appoint Maulanas and Shayukh in the high schools to lead the salat for the girls and for the boys. Ayatollah Khamenei says, brilliant, very good idea. Please send them and I encourage you. He says, but you have to pay them. Ayatollah Khamenei says that no, salat is an obligation. The sheikh is doing his salat and some people pray behind him. There is no need to pay them. This sheikh said, I said to Ayatollah Khamenei, Abul Fazl Abbas went to Karbala for the sake of God, but he had to feed his horse. You cannot expect the horse of Abul Fazl. This brother or sister is coming to the Jafari center to do her wajib or his wajib, but the car needs petrol. When they go shopping in the shopping mall, they don't say that, sister, mashallah, because you're looking after the deceased in your community, go shop as you wish. Somebody has to look after them. So what is this rule that Islam says they are not allowed to charge, but the community has to have funds and resources for them, and the community or the heads of the community, or there is a committee in the community from Baitul Mal, they need to be looked after. So please be careful of this. When we hear in the Risalah that they are not allowed to charge, it doesn't mean that they are not allowed to receive any money. There are two different issues. You are not allowed to charge to say this is my hourly rate, pay me this. But the community somehow needs to compensate them, and there's absolutely no problem with that. The one who performs Ghusl Mayyit is a trustee of the deceased. Why did I mention that? Because sometimes a Mayyit comes to you with tattoos all around their body. Or with the girls, with all respect, a young lady has passed away, and however she looks, she is a trust in your hand. You have no right to go out and reveal and narrate her body, astaghfirullah. I'm sorry, I'm maybe speaking the obvious, but we have to speak this obvious. For the brothers also as well. So things that you see in the Mayyit, in the body of the deceased, remember that I am a trustee of this Mayyit. I have no right to reveal it to anyone else. Oh, today we did the ghusl of a Mayyit, he was like this and that. No right to talk about them at all. During the ghusl, it is mustahab to keep the feet of the deceased facing the Qibla. Keep this as a mustahab in mind. Remember, for the muhtazar, we said that we keep the feet facing the Qibla. This should be continued all the way until the time that we want to do the namaz mayyit on the deceased. That will be different, as I will explain. Otherwise, during the ghusl mayyit, if the settings of ghusl mayyit, the pallet can be made in such a way that the feet of the mayyit still can be faced the qibla, that will be ideal. I think it is here. Did you have a question? Brother Shokat, you put your hands up? Did you have a question? Oh, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. After the ghusl, it is mustahab to keep the deceased laid in the way required for Salatul Mayyit. So until the end of the ghusl, the Mayyit will be facing, the feet of the Mayyit will be facing the Qibla. After that, when we put them in the coffin or anything to prepare them for Salatul Mayyit, then it will be different. Exactly the way that we are, will be lying on their back, and I will demonstrate it that the way that we put the head is on the side. How can I say? It's better to, imagine that this is the direction of Qibla. I know I'm standing exactly opposite, but to show you, if this is the direction of the Qibla, we put the Mayyit like this. After ghusl is done, finished. The head is on this side, the feet on the left side, and I'm standing facing the Qibla. Exactly the way that we do Salat al-Mayyit. There is no need to give the deceased wudu before ghusl. Very often I've been asked for the ghusl committee. We hear that we have to do the wudu for the mayyit before the ghusl. There is no record of that. There is no hadith. There is no recommendation ever mentioned. Performing funeral proceeding is initially the duty of the close relatives, yani wali of the deceased. I need to explain this rule. Wali, in this terminology of ghusl mayyit, it means mainly the immediate heirs or the first class of the heirs of the deceased. For example, if a lady passes away, her first immediate wali is her husband. If a man passes away, her wali is his wife. If a man or a woman or parents, any of them dies, their wali first are the children. Okay? If they are not there, then it goes to the second class category of the heirs, like brothers and others. That means that the first obligation is upon husband and wife, the children, to take care of the funeral services. Many people, they don't know this, unfortunately. Now that they don't know, at least they should not be an obstacle. They should go out and ask, make the call and ask Brother Hassanain, Akbar, this sister, that sister, please, I request if you can do this for me. To do the ghusl, remember which parts requires their consent? Mainly ghusl and Salat al-Mayyit. Like if I'm doing Salat al-Mayyit, I need to go to the husband of the deceased, to the wife, to the brother, to the sons usually. Do I have to ask all of them? One of them is enough. Any of them gives you the go-ahead, you have taken the consent. What if they don't give the consent? And unfortunately, there has been such cases that they are refusing because they want the person to be cremated, unfortunately. If it is possible for us as Muslim Shia Ithna Ashari to take care of the funeral in an Islamic way and they refuse to give the consent, their consent is lifted. Don't worry about their consent. So in normal cases, I think it's more of a respect that we are giving to the close relatives of the deceased. Would you please allow me to do Salat al-Mayyit on your father? Usually they say, by all means, please, I will be honored, do that. And the same for Ghusl Mayyit. But if for no good reason they are refusing, then their consent is no longer required. It is mustahab to perform the ghusl gently. I say this because sometimes I see some are really very harsh on the Mayyit, toss and turning them. Relax, yes, she's passed away, but please, gently, we are not in a rush. Do it in a nice and gentle way. Sometimes people who do this a lot, they are desensitized. Preferably cold water should be used. By cold water, I don't mean cold like freezing cold. I mean tap water, not warm water. Menstruating woman or a junub can also perform ghusl mayyit. Very often I've been asked this question. A sister, she's on duty and now a mayyit has been brought. She wanted to do ghusl mayyit, and other sisters, they said, no, you cannot. You are like park, and therefore you cannot do ghusl mayyit. There is no such rule that a lady in menstruation or a man who is junub cannot do this. So things that is not mentioned in the riwayat, is not mentioned in the fatwa, we don't need to impose it. And point 17, ghusl mayyit must be performed on every deceased Muslim, whether practicing or not. Inshallah, when we talk about Salat al-Mayyit, the same will be mentioned as well. You cannot say that, I know that he was, astaghfirullah, LGBT, or this person was drinking, or was not. Baba, aslan, no practice at all. Born Muslim, only born Muslim, and even I'm not sure born, but seems to be coming from the community. Ghusl Mayyit is an obligation, has to be done. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I think it worked well that I didn't have time to prepare all my PowerPoints. We haven't started the stages of Ghusl Mayyit yet. The first stage, I tried to be quicker. Intention of nearness to God, as I said, you make the intention and we explained about it. Take off the clothes of the deceased. Usually when they bring them from the hospital places, either they have the hospital gown or other clothes, needs to be removed. If you want to tear it off and rip it off, get the consent of the family. Sometimes they like to keep the clothes for whatever reason. Sometimes they doesn't matter, just rip it off. Take off the clothes of the deceased while covering the private parts. Immediately we put something on the private part of the mayyit, and then the rest of the clothes will be taken off. Clean and cover any wound securely and remove any obstacle. Stitches which are still protruding open flesh should also be cleaned and covered. This is a very delicate area. That requires a little bit of experience sometimes to make sure before you start the actual ghusl, there is no bleeding. If there are stitches, make sure that nothing is coming out. And sometimes I've had cases that we try to stop the bleeding and it doesn't stop. You know, there is an injection they give that stops the bleeding. Ayatollah Sistani, exceptionally, unlike other Maraji, Ayatollah Sistani has reservation on this. He says it's better not to use this. So what are we supposed to do? Sometimes it's good to have a doctor on duty, to call the doctor to come put the stitches to stop the bleeding. And once you know that there is no bleeding anymore, there is no blood there, to my knowledge, I have to be explicit, this is a course we are talking about. I have not come across any cases that, like when we are pressing the tummy of the mayyit, you know, some dirt, urine or feces is coming out. This needs to be done beforehand so that during the procedure of the ghusl, najasat doesn't come and doesn't create any problem. If there is any najasat on the deceased body, it should be removed by washing. I said it's better to wash the whole body with a little soap before commencing the ghusl. Better the soap that you use is like a baby soap that doesn't have odor or anything, a smell, because remember that the smell of cedar and kafur should be the smell that is smelled from the sense from the body of the mayyit, not the scent of the soul. Ya Allah, it is obligatory to give the mayyit now 3 ghusl. Preparation is done, easier said than done, and now we have to do 3 ghusl on the mayyit. The first one, water mixed with a bit of cedar powder, with cedar. Either you drop the leaves, inshallah when we go for the practical, I will show you there is a delicacy here about how much of the cedar powder or cedar leaves and camphor has to be put. By the way, the first wash is with water mixed with a little bit of cedar. The second wash is water mixed with a bit of camphor or kafur in Arabic. And before I go to the third one, look at this note. This is how I need to demonstrate and show you that the cedar powder and camphor should not be too much to change the water to mudaf, and not too little that there is no smell of cedar or kafur from it. This requires a little bit of experience, but you will get it. It's not difficult, and you don't need to be too fussy about it. And the third is the pure water, or khalis or qarah in any language that you refer to it. The method of ghusl mayyit exactly is the method of we do ghusl for ourselves. That one I didn't mention because everybody knows. Washing the head and the neck first, front, back and all, and then the right side of the body, front and back, all the way from the shoulder all the way to the tip of the toes, and then the left side. With these 3 types of water. If someone dies in the state of ihram and before they have completed the sa'i, they should not be washed with camphor. I mentioned this for your information. Here you don't need it, but for your information, instant pure water should be used. What they mean, our fuqaha, is that if someone is in the clothes of ihram, and one of my very dear friends some years ago, rahmatullah alayhi, died like this, in what we put the ihram on in Masjid al-Shajareh, and on the way to Mecca, he had a car crash, unfortunately. He became shaheed. The riwayah says that if you are in the state of ihram and you die, you will be having the reward of a shaheed. Such people who are in the state of ihram, the second wash, that is washing with camphor, is removed. But there are still 3 washes. The first one with cedar, the second with khalis, pure water, the third one also with khalis. It is forbidden to deliberately look at the private parts of the mayyit, although it does not void the ghusl. I mention again this one. Usually, as I said, we put a cloth or something on the private part, although the area of the private part has to be also washed. By washing, we don't mean rubbing. Some people are very difficult, and they, no, Baba, you don't, as long as the body has become wet with that water, you have washed it. End of the story. You don't need to really rub the body too much. And that's why even if you have a light cloth on and pour the water, it's very natural that the body gets wet and will be washed as well. So, but happens sometimes mistakenly that the person removing the cloth, putting the nappy, for example, as I'll explain it, it happens that they see the private part. Ghusl doesn't affect the ghusl, and it wasn't deliberate. Don't worry about it. It is makruh to cut the nails or remove any hair of the mayyit. To remove the hair or any part is makruh. But for the girls, a lady will be brought, she's got nail polish. You definitely have to clean the nail polish before you start the ghusl. Remember, exactly like the normal ghusl, if there is any obstacle on the body, like nail polish or anything like that, ladies know examples, they have to be removed. That doesn't mean that you cut the nail, but with the nail polisher you will remove the obstacles. It is mustahab to recite zikr, istighfar, salawat throughout the ghusl procedure. Some places they play Quran as they are doing the ghusl. It will be soothing the mayyit and creates a very special environment. Sometimes some places we have a brother or sister with a very good voice. His duty, her duty is only standing there and reading some dua, Quran, while others are doing the ghusl mayyit. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Any discharge of urine, feces or blood after the completion of ghusl or tayammum does not invalidate the ghusl or tayammum. This is again, very often I've been asked this question. We finished the ghusl, all the 3 ghusl is done, and then all of a sudden something came out. Clean it, wash it. If you have to cut the cloth of the kafan, even that part, if it's not washable or difficult, just cut that piece, throw it away so that the kafan is clean. But the ghusl is done already. Tayammum is done and is complete. No need to repeat the ghusl. However, if possible, the body or the kafan must be cleaned. As I said, just clean it. No need to do the ghusl. That part that the blood came out, you pour some water and wash it. Exactly imagine that you finish your ghusl, and after the ghusl you see that there is a wound and some blood is coming out. Are you going to do the ghusl again? No need. You just wash the body. Ghusl Mayyit is the same. Some brothers and sisters, inshallah, not here because they know about this obligation, become so fussy, so difficult on themselves and on the team. It's important to know the rules and stick to the rules. After the completion of the ghusl, we dry the mayyit with a towel and dry the hair to prepare the mayyit for kafan, inshallah. Ghusl mayyit suffices for any other pending ghusl. Let's say a lady has passed away that she was in her monthly cycle. The ghusl mayyit suffices for that. Or somebody passes away and has been in the state of junub or any such thing that there was another ghusl due on them. Ghusl mayyit suffices for any other pending ghusl. If a Muslim is buried without ghusl, that's the difficult part of it. He should be exhumed and ghusl should be performed if possible. Sometimes after 1 month they find out, after a few weeks they find out, no longer it's possible. But if it's the same day and we found out that we didn't do the ghusl properly, definitely there was a mistake, 100%, that the ghusl is void. We check with the, with those who know if you are not sure, and we are sure that the ghusl was not done properly. Like for example, instead of 3 wash, 2 wash was done. So 2 washes, if possible, immediately the mayyit has to be taken out, as long as it is not considered disrespect. If it's considered disrespect and it's not really practical, then leave it. May God forgive us and it will be fine.
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله لا